But before you get started, you're going to need to collect some materials, and these are the items I would suggest. I have several types of paint brushes, all for different purposes. I have a multi-tool. I have a paint can spout thing. I have some spackling paste used to fill small holes. I have masking tape. I have two different kinds of rollers, one for getting into small areas and one for getting into larger areas. This one also has a very thick nap because I'm painting textured surfaces, so it needs to get down into those little dips. I would highly recommend a drop cloth and some kind of a light. And of course, you're going to need some good paint. I recommend spending more on paint and getting high quality paint. I find with the better paints, I can just pretty much cover the whole thing with one coat and then come back and just do little touch-ups later with a brush or a small roller. I buy this at Lowe's. It's Sherwin-Williams Infinity, and I've had really good luck with it so far. So I think good things are worth paying for, so I buy the good stuff. Before doing anything, make sure that you've selected the color that you absolutely love. There's nothing worse than having to repaint it because you don't like the color you picked. So my recommendation is to put your paint on the walls, on at least 3 different walls. The reason I suggest at least 3 different walls is because the light will hit that paint differently depending on which wall it's on, based off of the windows or the light placement. So it'll look a little bit different on each wall. I also recommend turning the lights on and off. And then if all else fails, you still can't decide which color you like better, ask your wife and go with that. Now, before we get started, there's a couple of tips you guys should know. First off, wear some old clothes you don't mind getting paint on. Remove everything possible from the room before you get started. That includes things from the wall, the floor, pretty much everything. I like to remove outlet covers and towel bars as well. If you don't want your wife to hate you, make sure you're using drop cloths. When you're removing your towel racks, if you ever have a problem like this, where the drywall anchor basically just rips out of the wall instead of coming out, you can use a product kind of like this. What this guy does is you insert it in there, and as you tighten it up, this little thing opens up and then kind of clamps onto the back of the drywall, and that thing's not going anywhere. Solid as a rock. I like to actually remove the mirror in a bathroom, and the reason I do that is because A, I just think it's easier in cutting around it, and you don't get that paint buildup from cutting around it, which could be a problem if you ever decide to put another mirror in later. Although I got the job done myself because I'm a beast, I'd recommend using your wife or a friend to get the mirror out of here. And once you have all those things done, be sure to fill all holes or nicks or gouges that you don't want in your final product. The next thing I like to do is the masking. I mask all of the trim areas. I would suggest buying good painter's tape. Good painter's tape will leave a nice clean line when you pull it off. When masking your baseboards, leave your tape sticking out like this to catch any drips from when you're painting the wall. Here's a good tip. Use your multi-tool or a spackler knife to trim the edges perfectly in a corner. And now that we're all set up, we can get to painting. So I'm about to start cutting in this top edge right here. But there's one additional step I like to do when I'm working with textured walls, and that is to take a drywall knife and put a small groove right there. And the reason I do that is because then when you go to cut that in, the paint and the brush will want to naturally follow that groove that you just put in. So you'll have a nice clean line. I like to use a little container of paint like this when I'm cutting in. That way you don't have to go up and down on the ladder to dip your paint into a larger thing. Plus it's easy to hold. So, first thing you want to do is load up your brush. About that much paint. And then sort of work your way up to that groove that you just made. Key is to take your time and to get a lot of practice. And the last thing I like to do before using my roller is hitting any areas that I've masked off around trim, around outlets, around switches, and any difficult areas to reach. And next I like to move on to my smaller roller to get into some of those harder to reach places. The cool thing is that this little roller can actually fit pretty nicely right behind the toilet, so you don't really have to mask it or anything. Who cares if you get a little bit of paint in the back of your toilet? Don't be a dummy and make your wife hate you. Use a drop cloth like I told you to. Now we're going to move on to the big roller. The one thing you want to consider when picking out the proper roller cover, buy a high quality cover, but also make sure you get one with the right length nap for whatever drywall finish you're going to be covering. When you're actually painting with the roller, you're going to want to move in sort of a W pattern to get good coverage and with medium pressure. Do not push too hard. You should not be matting down the nap on your roller. If you do, you're pressing too hard. Here's a good tip. When you're transitioning from an old can of paint to a new can of paint, there might be some variations in color, even though it's supposed to be the exact same paint. So it's always a good idea to leave a little bit of the old paint to mix with your new paint so the transition on your wall will be less noticeable. Try to deal with any drips before they completely dry. Once you're done rolling on all your paint, I would recommend almost immediately removing the masking tape. You don't want the edge between the paint and the masking tape to fully cure. You want it to still be just a little bit wet. So we're going to go ahead and remove all the masking tape now. When I clean my brushes, I pretty much just rinse them off. I don't have any fancy tools, but when I clean my rollers, I use my 14-in-1 painter's tool, and it takes a lot of the paint off really quickly and speeds up the process. Let me show you. All right, so the paint is dry, and we're at that point in this project where I get to see just how terrible of a job I actually did. Now is the time where I'm gonna go around and see what I did wrong, touch up my mistakes, put on outlet covers, and sort of just finish the project up. A fun fact, as you're looking for mistakes, it's a good idea to check them in all sorts of different kinds of lighting. I always notice for some reason with textured drywall that I can see my mistakes even better when the lights are off or it's dim lighting. I don't know, more shadows or something. So make sure you check the finished product in all sorts of different lighting just to make sure you got it perfect. Thank you for watching my entire video, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys learned some things along the way. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe, and also check out one of these other great videos over here. See you guys.